Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Stu, and this is Haunted Hollow for Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic. This one is from Blazing Empire HD, and it was suggested by Gamma Kajira. Thank you for that. This spooky hollow surrounded by mountains is a great attraction for guests seeking something spooky. Gather more guests by the end of year 3. Your objective to have at least 1,200 guests in your park at the end of October year 3 with a park rating of at least 600. So Gamma Kajira did say then he was struggling, or she was struggling, they were struggling with this one because of the lack of space. And yeah, that is a small park and the expensive land. Okay, so we do have some available to buy. Oh, £50. Yeah, that's expensive land. Oh, hello, Bob. What? So we got a security guard called Bob. Okay, so I don't think this belongs in the beginner section because you've got a very small amount of space. You've got okay, it's not a huge goal, but considering it's such a tight amount of space and the land isn't flat, I can see this being an issue. Okay, so we've got a chairlift. We've got not a great selection of gentle rides, not a great selection of coasters. These two, obviously this one's got the tight 90-degree bends. This one, I've got a cheap and cheerful design for that. Not a great selection of thrill rides. Not a great selection of water rides. I mean, we've only really got two tiny puddles. And the shops, wow, terrible selection of shops. I think research, I'm going to put that into shops to begin with. There's no way this is a beginner scenario, so this has definitely been listed wrong. I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to I'll work this side first. Reason for that is we are going to need to expand the park. So if I focus on this corner here, I don't have to worry about leaving space to expand into the other areas. So I can focus on this area here. I'll put a no entry sign stopping the guests going down the other side of the park. We're charging for admission, okay? So that's an extra difficulty then. So what I'll do is I'll set that to about 40. I'll put down whatever flat rides we've got that, that and that, and maybe a cheap and cheerful wooden coaster there, wooden wild mine ride. That'll easily justify the £40, and then we can see where we go from there, I think. I'm going to try and make it look pretty, so we'll see what happens. May year 1, only 18 guests in the park. It's raining a lot, so we are going to benefit from £20 umbrellas. The guests are paying to come in, so we've got some shops and stuff just down there. We've got the haunted house, space rings. Now they're a terrible ride, but it's one of the only rides we've got at the moment. So whilst not many guests are going to go on it, that's why I've put the queue quite short, because the throughput on them is terrible. So I don't want guests being stuck in the queue line complaining. And then we've got a couple of pirate ships just there. Mr. Bones above the entrance for the rides. And then we've got a nice cheap and cheerful Mimic Mines just down there. Excitement. Oh, look, 666. Cool. Yeah, so guests will love that when they start coming in. They are coming in, so that's cool. We can have a quick look. Grumpy, Billy C. Preferred ride intensity, greater than 4. So that's cool. So that's something we don't have to worry about. They'll pretty much ride anything. They don't have a lot of cash. That's something we should consider. Yeah, so I'm just going to carry on as I am. Putting things down, waiting for things to unlock, putting some scenery down and things like that. And yeah, just trying to get there. October year 1, we've got almost 500 guests in the park. We've got my drop cutback design just here. We've got to go cheap and cheerful on this park. And I've called it Doppelganger. We'll keep in with the the spooky vibe with the names here. So nice little ride there. Looks pretty cool. Another little Mr. Bones just down there. We've got some more shops and things like that. I am going to start researching thrill rides. We haven't had an ATM, so that's a shame, because that would have made things a lot more straightforward. But yeah, we're gonna have to see how we go. I forgot to tell you, I fired Bob as well. I figured that we're gonna need the cash, so I've cleared a lot of the scenery just down here. I've started putting things down. I am gonna build, I think, maybe a little water ride, the boats or something like that on the pond, and yeah, we're gonna see what we do after that. April year two. Guests are starting to go up, almost 600, so it's not bad. We've got Phantom Pond just on here. I haven't shown you all the names, have I? I've been naming them, and we've got the drop tower. So this area now, over here, is complete. We've got no more room over there. I'm happy with that area. We've got Haunted Hollow House. We've got the ring racks, like a torture device. Lightning launch. So I figure this is like a lightning rod. And then we've got Pirate Phantasm. And then we've got what we call this one, Doppelganger. And then we've got Twisty Terror just down there. Cool. Okay, so then over here, we've got Phantom Pond just down there. It's another ride. It's not great, but it's another ride. Initially I didn't add the tracks, and they were kind of finding their way, but I figured we'd add the tracks and just make it easier for them. Excitement's not bad. And I now added this little path loop just around here, because we are at some point, probably soon, going to start buying up some of this land, because we got loads of cash. So it's no good just buying the land if we've got no way of getting to it. So this path loop, what it does is it helps guests get to this area of the land where we're going to expand to, gives us options, and it also adds some extra path for the guests to wander around on, because it's a very small park. We are going to get issues with overcrowding at some point. That is guaranteed, especially when it rains, when guests stop going on the queues. That's just as well at 1300 is the target, not any higher, because any higher we're really going to get problems with overcrowding. So ideally, come the end of the game, we'll have the 1300 and a little bit of a buffer. I don't want to be getting hundreds more, 50 to 100 more. That would be ideal. That's what I'm aiming for. It might not happen, but we'll give it a go. August year two, and this side of the park is really coming along now. We've got an enterprise just down there, tucked the queue line underneath it as well, save some space. I really don't know what I'm going to do with this little area. We've got, calling it exorcism, and then just here we've got ghost carts. I know. I'm amazing. I'm incredibly funny. So we've left it on the 3 laps because we want guests to be on there for a little bit longer. I think what we'll do though is we'll add a entertainer or something to the queue line. Or there you go, we got him there. We've added the entertainer there just to keep the guests happier in the queue, so they're not complaining. Although it's not a huge wait. I mean, the queue's not that full, but it will get busier. Mini golf. So what I've done is we've researched all of the thrill rides. So I've put the research now into roller coasters, but I didn't notice until after we'd already researched the last one and it started researching something at random. So as is, a mini golf isn't terrible. It's not the end of the world, because we could fit it in a tight space like that. You know, we only have to put the one hole on it. We've got a motion simulator down there. I need to name that. Yeah, I think it's coming along really well. We're just over halfway, so we are going to have a busy year. in year 3. October year 2. So I've just built this hypercoaster just down here. Now, one of the things with the hypercoaster is because it uses the same track as the corkscrew, but it's got a powered launch option, which doesn't really come in handy very often. But I've put it to work on this one, so I've still yet to do the scenery and stuff like that. But it's not bad. Yeah, okay, the lateral G's are a little high, but that's not giving us too much of an issue. I quite like it. I'm calling it Reaper. I quite like it. Yeah, so we've also bought all the land as well. We've been doing that whilst we've been waiting for rides to unlock, and then as soon as they unlock, we're stopping buying land and we're just doing building the rides and then going back and doing that. It is a pain on Classic because you have to buy them one tile at a time. But we've done it now. We only need 500 guests, so we're going to have a storm in here. We haven't got a huge amount of space. We've got to fit basically whatever we unlock in this up here, and we're not going to use the chairlifts. We've got haunted house that we're not going to use anything else on this page. Some of these coasters are really bad for this particular scenario. We've got one of them. We've got one of them. We've got one of them. I'm not going to use these two. They're just too big and cumbersome. Especially the flying turns where it needs like a minimum length. So yeah, we are going to have to just wait and see what comes out and then put it down really quickly. April year 3, and we've got a vertical drop coaster just down here. Black Widow, that's kind of my go-to name for colour scheme. Although I've gone for a slightly more pastel shade of red rather than the bright red I usually go for. I thought it was more in keeping with the park. And look, I never Mr. Bones around there. How many Mr. Bones are there in the park? I haven't finished yet, but let me know. Put in the comments if you know how many Mr. Boneses there are. And are they called Mr. Bones? Are they all called Mr. Bones, I should say? So, yeah, we haven't got a great selection of rides. But as soon as the vertical drop came out, it's an instant build. So just chuck it down as quick as we can, and then we can theme it later. That's the plan anyway. So, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see what comes out. Nearly 400 guests we need now. So it's going to be close, I think. Money-wise, we got tons of cash. So I think it's time to start reducing the prices of everything. Because guests are complaining about running out of cash. So I think that could be what does it for us. Awards, yeah, definitely we could do with winning some awards. So maybe hiring a lot of staff and things like that. Try and aim for best staff awards and stuff like that. Who knows? Maybe we'll ring Bob up and see if he wants his old job back. August year 3, 1,138 guests in the park, and I'm such an idiot. So I've just played this, and I was getting stuck because I couldn't get the 1,300 guests in the park that I thought I needed because it kept raining, and every time it rained, guests wouldn't join the queues, or we'd get masses of overcrowding and loads of guests would leave the park. So when I did the playthrough, I advertised for the last 2 months. But then when I've come to edit the video, I've realized that it doesn't say 1,300 guests at all. It only says 1,200 guests. So now I've gone back to the save and I'm going to do it again, but without advertising. Oh, nightmare. Okay, these are the things that happen. These are the things that happen. So I've already reduced the price of the entrance ticket, and I've reduced all the prices of the shops as well because guests were complaining about running out of cash. Unfortunately, we don't have a cash machine. Maybe there is one available to unlock. I don't know. But yeah, not as many guests complaining about running out of cash as there were. So let's run it on fast forward then. So we've got a powered launch corkscrew coaster just there, Banshee with the Batwing just down there, and then we've got a Wild Mouse as well, a Rat King. Good stats there. Goes underground underneath the corkscrew, and then it comes out through the Batwing and then back to the station. We need 12 more guests in the next month or so. So is it going to let me put my name in again? I don't know. Who knows? It all depends whether the park has got more value than the previous one. So that's annoying. I've already filmed all the outro as well. So if you notice that there's a little bit of a discrepancy between guest numbers or dates or whatever, don't worry about it. But that's just things that happen. So let's have a look then, just to show you. We can switch off research or funding. We won't be needing that. And also marketing, as you can see, there's nothing. So I haven't used any advertising at all. Yeah, so 7 guests more to go then. 1,200. I don't know where I got the 1,300 from. I got it in my head that it was 1,300 guests, and that's the target I was going for, and we were getting about 1,200. And I think I said it early on, right at the start, that's. I think ideally I'd want 1,300 and a little bit of a buffer, not too much, but yeah. So we've got the 1,200. Let's keep it on fast forward then. Yeah, so this definitely isn't a beginner scenario. There's a lot of little things that can make you come unstuck. For example, the small space, the sorts of rides that it gives you at the beginning. Some of those, you're never going to be able to do those. There's a little bit of scenery missing there. Don't worry, it's all fixed on the outro. Because after the outro, what I did was, after the finishing the scenario, what I've done is I've gone in and I've added little fences and things like that around the place so that the outro looks pretty. Yeah, it's just dipped below. Just dip below. Are we going to have to put a no entry sign across the gate? So when I advertised, I had over 1,400 guests in the park, but we haven't done that now. I think it's probably too late for that to make any effect on it, but who knows? Oh, the rain is not going to help at all. 1,100 guests, 1,199 guests in the park. Oh, we're going for the old putting a no entry sign across the gate. There you go. There's the 1,201st guest into the park. It's almost Halloween. Let's run on fast forward for a little bit. There you go. It's Halloween. We're going to pass the scenario. No one can leave. It's okay. The rating isn't going to tank just yet. And we've done it. And it's not going to let us put the name in, but let's pretend anyway. Stu! Fantastic. Now it gives us an award for the park with best roller coasters. I could have done with that at the beginning of October. But yeah, let's get rid of that. No entry sign, so no one leaves. But that's fine. So we did it then, twice. But you won't see the first time. Or an absolute mess. But the important thing is the actual park looks fantastic. I really do like the way it's turned out. The go-karts, I think the go-karts looks great. This coaster up here, Reaper, I think that looks really cool. It's a nice use of the powered launch function on that coaster. It's not quite as you can go up to 27, but 22. I can't show you the stats now. Silly me. I should have done that the other way around. I like the boat, this little pond with the boats. I really like the way that looks. I like the look of the vertical drop. I like everything about it. I mean, the wild mouse isn't great, but yeah, at that stage we just needed something quick cheap and quick to put down to get more guests in. These two cheap and cheerful coasters, those, that's kind of the way that you need to go for these. You're not going to be building these three. That's a complete waste. They're too big and bulky. Could have done with Julian coaster earlier on. That again, too big and bulky, too big and bulky, too big and bulky. And not a great selection of throw rides to begin with, or shops as well. The shop selection was terrible. Okay, so on the outro then, I started off with Doppelganger, and I asked as well, so I'm going to ask again this time, do you prefer for the outro, for the POVs, to be like this? I think that's how I normally do it, or like that, more zoomed in. I think on this one, I'm going to do the more zoomed in look. So let me know in the comments what you prefer. And also, how many Mr. Boneses were around the park? There's a couple there. There's one over there. There's a few more around the place. How many were there? I don't know. So this was Haunted Hollow. I've been Stu. Thank you very much to Blaze for creating the scenario, and also thank you to Gamma Kajira for suggesting it. It was a fun playthrough, and I think the scenario and the park turned out fantastic. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!